Jai Shri Krishna to all. Welcome to Path to Anandam Gita series. Freedom from pains and miseries to happy, healthy, and peaceful life. Based upon 108 mantras to awaken your soul. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita, my question and God's answers. And today's session is the best way to approach God. Our series number 50. And pranam to Swami Hariharji Maharaj for his blessings, his guidance, and bringing everybody together on this Zoom session. I'm Satya Kalra, your host and founder of Path to Anandam, with Guruji's blessing and advice and guidance. And thank you, Guruji, for coming in my life, in everybody else's life, in a form or in a Sushma Roop, Karan Sharir, and Sushma Sharir. And with your blessing, this session is being presented on the Zoom, and also the teachings have been given to many organizations, individuals, all the way from the CEO level to individual level, to the teachings of these books, Bhagavad Gita, globally as well as in USA, India, everywhere. So thank you very much for coming in our life, in my life, and to Lord Krishna. And in today's series, how to become the best devotee, how to approach the God the best way. And the verses are taken from chapter 7, from 16, and some are actually taken prior to that from 13 as well. So all the way from 13 to 18. And we will learn how many types of devotees are. Who is the best devotee? And the key part here is how to become the best devotee. And what are we going to get in return? And how can we practice with homework and our sankalpa? I am the best devotee. I am the jnani. I am the wise. With meditation and question and answers. So starting with Arjuna's dilemma, his challenging time, his difficulty facing in the Kurukshetra and in life, where he has to engage himself in a war, which he thought was a sinful war because people will die, he might kill the people and hurt people. And due to his ignorance, he did not acknowledge that it was not just a bloody war, but it was his responsibility to save the society, bring the righteousness in the society. So due to his ignorance, he tells Lord Krishna, Na jotasya uti gobinda. I cannot engage myself in this war, because he was still confused. and not willing to perform his duty. And he goes and sits back of the charioteer. And in his chariot, when he sits back, he tells his friend, charioteer, Lord Krishna, which he did not know that he was Lord. He was God, just a friend. But he asked Lord Krishna for his guidance very humbly, and he surrenders to him. So it's a time for us to humbly request Lord Krishna with our surrender that please guide us in our life as well. So let's all pray together. And as we are the Arjuna of today, Karpanye dosho pahate swabhava paschami tvam dharma sammuri cheta jachase syani nishchitam bruhitan me shishyaste ham shadi mam tvam prapanyam shishyaste ham shadi mam tvam prapanyam shishyaste ham shadi mam tvam prapanyam. My heart is overpowered by the weakness of pity. I have lost all my composure and my mind is confused about my duty, my dharma. I'm requesting you to tell me what is definitely good for me, not what I'm asking, what is definitely good for me. I am your disciple. I surrender to you. So please guide me. So as Arjuna lost his heroism and asked for advice through this prayer, his Vishad become the Vishad Yog because he's not alone just suffering. Now he has a Lord Krishna with him. He is united himself with his best companion, Lord Krishna. And then Lord Krishna mercifully blessed him, showered him with timeless wisdom of Series50 Bhagavad Gita. And after listening to that, he gets up and he says, Karishe vachanam tav, I do as you advise. Because he was gone through that blissful journey of self-transformation. So let's all do the same. Purify ourselves. Get out of all the complaints, gile shikwe, our ego, attachment, greed, confusions, and surrender to Lord Krishna and uplift ourselves, our conscious level, and ultimately experience, who am I? I am Satchit Ananda. So with Lord Krishna's advice and guidance, Arjuna has been blessed with Karma Yoga wisdom, art of work, how to do his action righteously with love and compassion for benefit of all. Because that's the only language he understood. He did not understand what Lord Krishna initially tried to teach him, that don't worry about your body, you are the soul, you are the Atma, you are a Paramatma, part of me. So he took him to the path as a Karma Yoga, because Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and Kshatriya could understand the language of karma, action, because they're very action oriented. So chapter 1 to 6 out of 18 chapters was Karma Yoga. But now move to the next level, which is the Bhakti Yoga, chapter 7 to 12, which is the Gyan Vigyan Yoga. Wisdom he has given him Now he's telling him how to practice that wisdom. Only reading, writing, theoretical knowledge is not enough unless we practice it. And that practice has to come through action, through karma. But karma cannot be done if the mind is not at equanimous. And Dhyan Yoga, which was the previous chapter, last chapter of Karma Yoga number 6, was focused on how to discipline ourselves and then how to discipline our mind through meditation. So we have learned so far in this chapter that God is the essence of all. He is the Tejasvi of the Tejasvi. He is the intellect of the intellect. In fact, he tells us that Matta Partram Nanate Kinchidasti Dhananjaya. Mai Sarvamidam Proktam Sutre Mani Gana Ev. I am that sutra which keeps all these necklace. He gives the example of necklace. It keeps all these pearls together. What he means by the whole universe, you, me, everybody is the pearl. Actually, he's giving the metaphor of this necklace, giving similarity. But we, each individual one, is connected with each other. And the whole universe is connected with each other with that sutra, which his power, his energy keeps everybody together. So he's the essence of all. He's the cause of all the causes. Everything happens in the universe is because of his lila. And then he further tells that he is the root source of all. Bijam mam sarva bhuta nam vriddhi par sanatanam buddhir buddhi mata asmin tej tejasvi asmin aham. I am the teja of tej, wisdom of wisdom. Actually, I'm the source, I'm the bij of whole universe. In other words, I'm the omnipresent. Kan kan mein, chan chan mein. I'm the omniscient, I'm the omnipotent. And what he means by omnipotent, he says, I am in everywhere. In water, in water, I'm in this whole universe. All these 5 tattvas we see, sun, light, fire, earth, water, air. I am. This Prakriti is my lower nature. So I am. Without me, nothing lasts. There's nothing in this universe without me. Then the question comes, if that is the case, then why people do not recognize God? What are the causes of delusion? And then he further explains that Prakriti, which is made with this 5 tattva, the mother nature we call it, that is actually a Triguni Maya. And with this Triguni Maya, Namam Drushkrantyo Muda, Pradante Naradram Ma. He says that with this Prakriti which we see in Maya, we are made with all these tattvas. And we are a part of this Maya, this mother nature, which is, he says, is my lower energy, which is to maintain the nature, maintain the mother nature, my Prakriti. However, what happens, we consider we are made with this Prakriti, which means our body is made with these 5 tattvas, with blood, we have, that's the water, the air which flows in our body, that's the air, the food we digest, that's the fire, the empty space we have in our body, that is the space or sky, and the light which goes in and out, or which is in our body, which illuminates every cell of our body, is the light of sun, and the calmness, which is the calmness of the moon. So we have all those elements in our body. So are in nature, prakriti. But we consider that body which is made with 5 tattva, that's it. We do not understand, like Arjuna, that we have the divine Shakti which flows within us. And without that divine Shakti, we are shoved, dead body. As soon as the divine Shakti comes out, Atma comes out, we are declared to be body, no names anymore. So, Lord Krishna says, the evildoers, the ignorant, the lowest among mankind, I put it here, terrorism, because to me that comes out so clear to my mind, whose discriminating power has been taken away by divine illusion power, Triguni Maya, and have adopted the demonic nature, do not worship me or take refuges in me. Here he clearly explains that this Triguni Maya, tamasic nature, rajasic nature, sattvic nature, tamasic which ignorance, which gives taklif to others, to themselves as well. They do not understand. They live in a darkness. And the rajasic, which is a very passionate, everything is for them. And then the sattvic, which is the simplicity of the life, living selflessly. That's what he's talking about. This is the Triguni Maya. Even though the sattvic nature is the highest nature, still we are bound to it because we have some expectations from that we will get the happiness, we'll get the peace, all that. So that's the expectation from that. So anytime we have expectation, all these gunas, prakriti merges. So the prakriti and the body gets so entangled with each other, like have a magnetic power, like metal, like iron and magnetic. We are so tangled with each other, so attracted toward each other, and cannot separate ourselves. We cannot see that the body is just a temporary. So this is the reason for why people do not recognize God, overtaken by Triguni Maya. And that's where he says the prakriti and body, I-ness and my-ness, is the cause of not recognizing the supreme power. Why? Because everybody is puppet of Mother Nature. We are Prakriti, made with 5 tattvas. Prakriti is made with 5 tattvas. We have 3 more elements, which is called mind, intellect, and ego. That even causes more problems. And those are the 3 parts drive everybody crazy. It disturbs our mind. But then he says, accept the one who surrenders to me. Then it comes back to the surrendering, who recognize me. So he further explains that everybody is not the same. Though Prakriti, Mother Nature, drive people, us crazy, I would say, or disturb us. But he says, the people who still are noble, virtuous, they come to me for one or other reason. And that's where he says there are 4 types of devotees, 4 types of people who approach me. And he says, how? He says, Chatur Vidam Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritino Arjuna Artho Jigyasur Artharthi Jnani Cha Bharatas. Oh Arjuna, there are 4 kinds of virtuous men, people who worship me. Those are Artho, Jigyasu, Artharthi. These three, Arthartho means the distressed, who are in pain and miseries. Like our whole topic, this series start from freedom from pains and miseries. And here he explains that the lowest type of devotee is who is distressed, who is in pains and miseries, who is in Vishad. For example, when Arjuna was in Vishad, he was at that lowest level. And they go to God for help. Or that's a mean for them for challenging time. And I can relate to it. And I think we all can relate to it, that whenever we are in difficult time, we always, at that time, we think about God. As Kabir Sahib said, Nanak Dukhya Sab Sansar. So whoever thinks about God at that time, but the one who thinks continuously, then he is considered to be the high level, Jnani. But all these are in between. The good example in our Mahabharata is Kunti. Kunti, when Lord Krishna was leaving and he asked him, Bhua, what should I ask me? I want to give you something. And she says, give me only thing, dukkha. And he says, why? She says, because that's the only reason I think about you. Otherwise, I don't think about you. So when you give me dukkha, it means you will be with me because I will be thinking about you. So this is what happens to Artha, distressed devotees. Then the next one is Jigyasu. I'm sorry, this is Artharthi. Artharthi means, so next one is Artharthi. They are the material devotees, desires for wealth, name and fame and possessions. It's just like a business with God. God, do this for me. In return, I will do this. Like we call it a mannat manna. If this desire is fulfilled, then I will offer you this much prasad, this much money, I will do this. So they kind of a promise to God in return. And I remember all that time when you go to Mata's Chowki, then Ardas, Ikda lakh banai. Offer 1 rupee, $1, and then expect to Ikda lakh banai. They give me in return 1 lakh in offering to 1 rupees or dollar. No bank will offer you that kind of in return, or no in maybe some investment, but this is what we do with God. So Artho, I remember myself. That before we grew up in India like that. Whenever I was going for the exams, I will pray to God, God, please give me good marks, give me paper should be easy, and I should be able to answer, do well, and all those. So we always pray to God for getting good marks for our grades. And then whenever the difficulty came, we also pray to God. And then the Jigyasu one, who wants to have the knowledge, the inquisitive about God, who is the inquisitive, he's just curious. See here, the stress one. You can see here is the person who is asking for money, worldly possessions. Here is the person who is arti, who is in difficult situations, challenging situations. And here just curious, what is God? So these are all conditional devotees. But the true best devotee, Lord Krishna says, that's the Jnani, the seeker of knowledge, who who is a seeker of higher self, for the wisdom, for the absolute, for the knowing who am I, and who is the goal of God and self-realization. For example, Vivekananda, when he went to, first time went to his guru, Swami Ramakrishnan, and he knocked on the door and he asked him, who is on the door? Who is it? And he says, that's what I want. I am here to find out. Who am I? So this is what Lord Krishna says. This is the one which is the fourth one. So, but then he further explains, who is the best devotee among all that? He says the best devotees are who tesham jnani nityukta, the one who has the goal of supreme goal. That is the most dear to me. Why? That person is very noble. I consider the man of wisdom, my own, my Atma, because he's a single-minded, firmly established in me and also for him. So he is actually totally focused with the supreme goal. That is very dear to me. But he further explains, he says that even though the jnani is the most dear to me, these conditional devotees, other three, are also very dear to me. They are dear to me, but the fourth one, the jnani, is the most dear to me. Because at least they are thinking about me. Like if somebody needs worldly things, money, or rather than robbing the bank, at least they are praying to me. The arti, who is in very difficult situation, at least thinking about me, praying to me, rather than just drinking alcohol and being on drugs and trying to forget his miseries. So he's with me. And the person who's curious, inquisitive about knowing me, though he is studying only the books, he's listening to it and not practicing, or may not be practicing, but at least he's thinking about me, learning about me. So even the conditional devotees are still my devotees. But the fourth one, jnani, who sets the God realization as the goal of his life, is extremely dear to me, because he has already explained these things in best before as well. We have learned that. But question comes, then what are the hallmarks of best yogi and devotee? And why I put the yogi here? Because very last verse, last session of chapter 6 was on that session, who is the best yogi. And best yogi and devotee have a very similar hallmarks. So best yogi and devotee. And here before he said that all yogis whose mind are always absorbed in me, in other words, who lives in mindfulness through meditation and even in daily activities, lives in awareness of my presence, and also engaged in devotion to me. In other words, he has a full faith in me. I consider them the highest, best of all, whether they are thinking about Om, meditation through bhakti, or they are just worshipping my Sakardu, or seeing me in every thing in the nature like water, air, trees. Then he further here says, he added one more thing here. He says, set me the supreme goal of his life, who sets me. I consider them the highest, the best of all, whether their name is yogi or devotee, but they are the best. So then the question comes, how to become the best devotee? You can say how to become the best yogi also. And if we just look at this one, let's take an example of Arjuna. When he was totally distressed in Vishad, he became very humble. He prayed to Lord Krishna. So the very first requirement is, these are the 4 steps, 4 ingredients to become the best yogi or best devotee. Be humble. Humility is the number 1, the basic, the foundation of self-transformation. And then, so he humbly asked, but he had a faith in Lord Krishna. So when he humbly asked with faith, the Lord Krishna poured the Bhagavad Gita blessing on him. And then what happened? He transformed. Now he wants to do the seva. But how? He totally surrenders. He had given the reins of his life, his chariot, to Lord Krishna's hands. So these 4 stages, here Lord Krishna is pouring the Bhagavad Gita on him. And now he's after surrendering, he says, Karishye Vachanam Tav, let's go, let's move on. So these are the 4 ingredients: humility, faith, selfless service, seva, benefit for the whole universe, not just for me, selflessness, as I said, neki kar kuein mein dal, and then surrender. But there are 4 steps of evolution. When one does that, then what happens? The Jiva Atma, who we are, Jiva with the Atma, Jiva Atma, little by little, praying to God, even though we are arthik or stressed devotee, ask God only for the stress conditions. Still we are with God. So little by little, we start getting more inclined toward God. And then whatever we do, even we ask the worldly things, but still we ask God. So we are more closer to God. And then by doing that, God start pouring his blessings with the materialistic things. And there are many, many examples. We all have that. And I can give you a very good one. Here is, at one time, many, many years ago, I think it was almost in 80s. We were buying a home and we were short of $1,500. And my husband Krishna says, he named me one of the friend, and he says, why don't you go and ask them? And I said, no, I cannot ask for money to any friends. But in the morning when I prayed to God, and I said, Ma, please help out. We have the closing on the house tomorrow and we are short of $1,500. So I left home, I went to the office, and then from office, I called the bank because I remember I had opened an account for children, and we were just still working. So I just opened an account with $100, hoping to put more money in it. And then, so I said, at least get that $100 transfer from saving account to checking account. So I called the bank and say, I want to transfer my money from the saving account to checking. But I curiously asked how much it is. And the banker said, $1,500. I still did not understand where those $1,500 came from. I never asked the banker on that one, and I can give you so many examples like that. So we do get things, materialistic desires fulfilled too when we are pray to God, but they have to be for good reasons. But from there, I made the commitment that whatever $1,500 I got, I'm going to donate it when I have that money. So see, my inquisitiveness, my desires for asking, praying for materialistic work, but then I went to the next level where I want to do more for the society. So from Jeev Atma, I kind of become a Dharmatma. This is how people become Dharmatma. And then, because I was thinking about Dharma there, and Dharma, person who does Dharma is Dharmatma. But just for that particular part I'm talking about. And doing by more and more practice, one becomes a Mahatma because they totally become selfless. And from there, they set the goal now because they got a good flavor of God. Now they're enjoying the presence of God in their life. So little by little, they set the goal that now I want to merge with God and I want to ultimately experience and know God. And not only knowing God, one becomes God. So for practice session, I put four spiritual practices of the basic ingredients, what I spoke about, and then the 4 benefits that one becomes from Jivatma to Dharmatma to Mahatma, and then finally becomes wise and knows Paramatma and becomes God. So presence of God must be experienced and realized through these 4 steps. And the benefits, again, one becomes ultimately experience the God. And these 4 spiritual evolutions, these 4 steps where we can practice, whether we practice the Sakar Roop of God or the Nirakar Roop of God through Om Mantras or through the worshipping physical forms, whatever. But again, the practice session is we practice the faith, our devotion, our services, and then surrender, those 4 basic ingredients. Once we practice that, then the self-purification comes. Then tamasic, rajasic, sattvic nature gradually moves upward from tamasic to rajasic to sattvic and finally to gunatit. And then self-transformation comes. And then one becomes the best devotee because the person now focus is on the experiencing, attaining the purpose of life, realizing that I am Satchit Ananda. I am that eternal happiness. I am, my chit is filled with peace, happiness. So we practice this calendar for 30 days and eventually it becomes our habits. But start the day, as I always say, to start your day because that sets the tone of the rest of the day. So whatever you feel comfortable with the mantras, reading Bhagavad Gita, Guru Granth Sahib, Ramayana, whatever your personality allows or the resonates with your body chemistry, then practice yoga, pranayam, meditation for any time, whatever time, even 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But we must do that, but always think about the one thing which I'm going to practice, strengthening that particular habit. And once we practice that, we evaluate it in the evening. How did I do it? And continue to do it. Practice, 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 because Gita is not just studying, not just a theoretical knowledge, but ultimately experiencing his presence in our life. And then let go, surrender to God. Whatever we do, end of the day before going to bed, just pray to God. Sarv dharman paritajye, mamekam sharanam aham tvam sarpapebhyo mokshashyami ma shuche. Then God's promise comes to us. So our only purpose is to just pray, 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 and surrender to him and have a peaceful night. So homework time. Again, these are the questions help to strengthen our spiritual practices. So that's why I put it here that we should always do the self-inquiry, Swadhyaya Abhyasnam, where Lord Krishna says over and over in Bhagavad Gita, Swadhyaya Abhyasnam. Focus on yourself, not on others, that how other people are doing it. And live in awareness and ask this question, how do I approach God? Do I remember God only in challenging times? Do I ask for worldly possessions? Do I seek only for theoretical knowledge? Do I have full faith in God? Do I surrender to God, fully surrender to God, to His will? What type of devotee am I? Do I experience His presence? And when the question to me, this is, I'm sharing my question, what type of devotee am I? And my answer to myself is, I belong to all those four types, depending on the situation. So I am a conditional devotee, but my focus is now to become the best devotee. I have set up my goal of my life for self-realization, but living in this nature, Maya, Triguni Maya, I do become other three, but that's okay. Lord Krishna says that's okay. At least you are not, when you need something, you come to me. As I said, when you need the money, you don't rob the bank or steal, you at least come to me and I will help you out. So, and I'm sure most of the samsaric people are belong one or other situations, like we pray to God. If some family member is sick, then we pray to God. And that's a worldly thing, but we pray. Where else we are going to go? But God is with us all the time. And so God says, don't worry about it. All of you are my devotees, my noble people, my virtuous people. And once you set the goal, you will come and become my best devotee. Eventually, you will experience me. Who am I? You will experience Satchit Ananda. So don't worry about it. So our sankalpa is, I am the best devotee. Although he says later on, only 1 in 1,000 realizes God, because it's not a quick fix, not a quick method. But that's okay. Have a patience. Sooner or later, we will become higher and higher and experience his presence. The only thing is we have to take the sankalpa without any expectations. Kamasya takva sankalpa. Then shanai shanai uppar mein, gradually by gradually we will reach to his, ultimately become the best devotee, and to his will, we start living to his will and experience, I am Satchit Ananda. So thank you very much for attending the session, the best way to approach God and experience happy, healthy, and peaceful life. Go beyond pains and miseries. In other words, become from Arthi to ultimately the devotee of Jnani, wisdom. I am Satchit Ananda. So thank you very much for attending.